Welcome back. Thanks for joining me. This is a day that I've been looking forward to. So it's Saturday, and the Saturday after New Year's Day. So I've got the 55 on my list of things most important to do. I've got a video brewing on that, but it kind of came to a screeching halt yesterday. I had the transmission apart, changing first gear ratio, and discovered that the gear set that we have to replace the one that's in there is kind of a weaker gear set than what we're taking out. Well, I'm not one to replace strong parts with weak parts. So we had to make a decision to either use the gear set that was in it to start with, or to order a new one, or to run the weaker set. Can't run the weaker set. So Alex opted, since it's hers, he's the one that spends the money on it, to spend the big bucks, and I mean big bucks. You can buy a pretty nice car for it. I have a lot less in my project than she has in her gear set, but that's going to help the car to go faster and live longer. So that project came to a screeching halt, and that's fine because we still have plenty of time, and it afforded me the weekend, which is first day is almost over. I've put a little bit of work in it this morning, and I'm going to show you what I started doing. I'm going to show you the dilemma that I'm facing and how I'm going to fix it. I'm going to turn this around and show you what I'm doing and a little bit about the Volkswagen, and I'm excited to work on it. And I got to do some sheet metal fabrication today and tomorrow. Then I got to go back to work on customer cars. I've got a Camaro in the paint booth that's ready to start block sanding and getting prepped for black paint. But that's my next project. It's been patiently waiting while I do these other things. So no further ado. My 53, wait. My truck's a 53. My 56 VW convertible, oval window. Man, I'm just a mess here. So I love oval and split window Volkswagens. Never actually owned one. I've owned quite a few Volkswagens, but never my dream car, an oval or a split. I love a split, but who can afford a split window? And I don't want a fake one. So and I love an oval too, so it really doesn't matter to me. It's kind of like a kid, when somebody's expecting a child and you ask them, what do you want, a girl or a boy? And they always say the same thing. I don't care as long as it's healthy. Well, I kind of feel that way about my Volkswagen. As long as it's healthy, it can be an oval window, because man, that looks good. So I grew up in Orange County, California in the 70s, late 60s, 70s, early 80s. And Volkswagen, the cowl look Volkswagen came from there, Orange County, LA area. And I was just a few miles away from Orange County International Raceway, so I spent a lot of time there and went to a lot of what was called the Bug-In at that time, the original Volkswagen events called the Bug-In. And the cowl look Volkswagen was just part of my growing up. I always had them. I was always around them. They're just so cool. And I had them here when I moved here after high school. I had plenty of cowl-look Volkswagens. I mean, wild right-hand drive conversions that I did, suicide doors, chop tops, convertibles with all of that, wild paint, custom interiors, lowered, slammed, candy apple, flames, graphics on the belly pan, the whole 9 yards, a full chromed out motor, and then even upholstery under the engine compartment lid. Just all that 80s stuff. I had them in the magazines, VW Trends, Hot VWs. We went all over the shows and never did own an oval window. So this is my dream car, honestly. I've got 2 or 3 important cars that I want, but when I build this Volkswagen, I'll keep it probably the rest of my life. I've actually bought a second one. We got to go pick it up now that things hopefully slow down just a little bit. We got to make a trip up to Colorado and pick up a second one that I'll probably do for Megan, because she loves Volkswagens as well, and Alex has her 64 that we got to work on. So we'll have everyone in the family except Debbie we'll have a Volkswagen. And the way we look at it, Debbie has all of them. She can have any one of them whenever she wants it. So this I bought in California. My buddy Greg Peterson sent me a message and said, hey, you still looking for an oval window? And my dream has been for years to buy an oval window in Orange County, California, where I grew up, where I came from, where the whole cowl look movement started. And I say California look, lowered in the front, Porsche wheels, or, lots of different wheel options, center lines, BRMs. I love them all. So Impy out there, Greg calls me and says, hey, or messages me and says, hey, you still looking for a bug? And he sent me a few pictures of this thing. It was in the backyard of a garage sale that he went to. And one thing led to another. I made the deal. Greg bought it for me because it had to be done quickly. Alex happened to be out there filming Hot Rod Garage, and she happened to be on her way from LA to San Diego. So she's passing right through Orange County. And she swung by, and I think she actually wrote Greg a check or something to pay him back. Maybe, I don't remember exactly, but something like that. And my brother lives in San Diego. She went down there, grabbed him, borrowed his trailer and truck, and came back to Orange County and picked it up that afternoon. So it sat the next year at my brother's house, or field at his house in San Diego. And finally, when we were at SEMA last year, Nick needed to go to California with his trailer for some reason. I don't remember. I think to take a Camaro out there. And they picked it up for my brother and brought it back to me. So I finally got it, and it's been sitting on the table ever since. I just don't have time to work on it. Alex bought me for Christmas last year 4 new fenders, because it didn't come with fenders. Bought 4 new fenders, and I bought a whole bunch of brand new parts, the small parts that were missing, off of the internet, from some California Volkswagen places, and found some seats and some other parts. Now, it came with this front clip. So an early front clip is different than a later front clip, and this one's a little bit different than the 56. This is probably a 60 front clip, and I'm not that worried about it. I'm not that particular. Very few people besides purists know what's going on there. But they had already cut the front clip off of this car. You can see that's not my work. They did this. I positioned the new one, the green piece, onto the cuts that they made, and I've got it tacked at the top. And today, I started working on this front quarter panel. It's not bad. I'm going to use the dent puller, weld some studs here, and pull just a little bit of a dent out of it. I'll probably weld the antenna holes up, and I think I'm going to keep the chrome holes. The traditional cowl look doesn't use chrome, and I used to weld all those up, but I'll probably put chrome back on this car. The problem is this side's been hit, and it's pretty bad shape. You can probably see the dents and the waves and where they bondoed it and hammered it out and just done a nasty job of it. So I'm going to get the front green part trimmed in here and attached to the inner fender. Blend this into one piece. It's a little bit different than this. Like I said, I'm not too worried about that. The shape of this flange, you can see right here. Let's see if we can get the light just right. This is a little different than this. The later clip is just a little narrower in here than the earlier car, but I don't care. The gas tank, everything's the same. See the square recess in here? It's got 2 ribs. You notice these ribs are the same length. The one that actually came off the car is still here. They're the same length, but they're longer. So, very small difference. These are shorter. I don't think anybody cares, and if they do, I don't care. So I'm going to use this because it's very close to that. And you can buy new front quarter panels. That's not too big a deal, but one for this vintage car from Wolf Parts, I think they call it, out of Europe, is over $1,000. And I'm not doing that. I can buy a later one, but the inner fender and all this area up here is pretty different. It would work, but I'm not going to do that either. They're just $200 to $300, but I have to pay shipping and I got to wait. And I really don't want to do that. I'm going to weld this together in here, make all that stuff disappear and work right. Then I'm going to attach to the fender mounts, which are inside. You see it over there on that side. And I'm going to pull forward. This side, like typical Volkswagen, they bump the bumper into something and it pushed this back. You see the rust right here. There's just a little bit of a crease. It's not much. You see a little bit right there too. It's not real bad, but I can pull it out and beat that metal just a little bit and fix it. So I'm going to get the inner fender joined, and then I'm going to cut this off. So it's honestly just a small piece of sheet metal. I'll leave this from here down, but from here back, that's so beat up, I'm going to make a paper template off of the driver's side, which will be easy. I'm just straightening it out a little bit, and I'll just cut the sheet metal to match, and I'll English wheel it. Once I get the shape that I want out of that little piece of sheet metal, I'll use my bead roller and I'll tip this area right here. So I can tip that angle in where the fender bolts up to. It's just a slight angle. It gets bigger as it comes forward, but I can work that. And then I'll weld it, I'll TIG it all the way down the quarter panel here, right in front of the door hinge. So I'll leave that much sticking out, whatever's good over there, maybe an inch, and just butt weld it and TIG it. I don't overlap. So I'll TIG that back together, and I'm gonna leave the upper part. I don't wanna cut that off, so I'll cut it somewhere in here, probably just above the chrome line. I haven't really looked that close at it yet. Yeah, because this is really beat. I might cut it below the chrome holes down to here and then step up. But I'll leave as much of that as possible, and I'll leave, like I say, an inch here, and then I'll TIG that back together, and I'm going to MIG it probably right under here in that radius, because the inner fender is still good. So I'm going to keep all that original sheet metal. It doesn't even have any rust to speak of. The car is very rust free. That's what I love. The car is going to be my dream car when I get done. So I bought an IRS pan. It's on the original swing axle pan, and I bought an IRS pan months ago and took it apart and bead blasted all of the suspension components. Transmission's been sitting right here on this drum of sand that was used last year to make the Iski car parts, and the transmission feels okay. I'll take it apart, but I'm going to use my hot water pressure washer and get the grease off of it. And then I bought new floor pans. We picked those up over at Tulsa. I'm going to get my sandblaster running, which hasn't run in a while. But I've cut the floor pans out of the IRS pan when I got it, and it's just a matter of sandblasting this part, and it's all perfect. It just needs to be the new pans put back in it after I sandblast it. And my old air compressor sitting here, and it hasn't run in several years, and that I'm going to do a video on that because it's going to be one of those will it run videos. So this is the floor pans that I actually cut out of that pan. You can see they were scrap, but that's the story. That's my Volkswagen in a nutshell. Once I get, that's got an old split case 36 horse transaxle in it, non-synchronized first gear. And this is a piece that came with it as well. The rear apron, that's off of a car, it's a takeoff. It's not a new repo. And it's the correct H. See the letter H right there? So the early cars had an H, and that's going to go back on here. I'm going to do some cool stuff because I'm going to have Weber carburetors, so I'm going to cut the inner panels out and move them out so I can get back there, because when therein. When you got a big Weber carb sitting right here, it's really hard to get to the spark plugs or anything. The original gas tank, I just looked at it. It doesn't even have a, well, I just saw a dent. Dadgummit, and that's a new one. So that's the only dent that I've seen in it. But the bottom of it's still solid. The inside is really good. It's just got a light coat of rust, which I can get rid of. And the interior, I've got all of the parts, the dash parts, and this new steering column, all that stuff for it. So let's see. Go out here. When they did Alex's Volkswagen on a show, they took a motor that had come in the car that Newbern and Cotton did on their show, and they put it in her car. Well, they took her motor out, set it aside. It's an alternator, and it's a dual port. It's got the doghouse oil cooler on it, 12-volt flywheel, all that stuff, and it's a very good motor. It ran very well. I figure it's probably, been rebuilt and upgraded. It's probably a 1641 or something. So I'm going to put that in the car for now, but my plan is to build a really nasty motor. I want something big. I think I'll do it in this car, but right now I want to build a very cool driver, California look Volkswagen. It'll probably be painted either a desert tan or a non-metallic green of some shade, lighter green, and on the ground with either 5 spokes or center lines, like a Porsche alloy or center lines. I'm not real sure. And of course I'll do my own leather interior and make it really nice. But that's enough of that. I'm going to start working on this quarter panel. I've already started. I'm going to finish working on this quarter panel and get the little bit of a dent pulled out there. And then I'm going to make a paper pattern. So I'll talk on and off about that, and I'll film it in slow motion as I go here. So thanks for joining. I hope you enjoyed this as much as I am going to, and stick with it even if you don't like Volkswagens or you're not a Volkswagen guy, because it's pretty cool and it's basically one of my dream cars. So this is what you just witnessed me doing. The front end had overlaps right there. Block that out because that doesn't count. I haven't finished that out yet. But through here and up through here was all overlapped and junk, kind of like that side over there. So I cut, it's got a 1/16 of an inch or 3/32 for the cutoff wheel that I used. And I welded that back together. Now I've got to come inside and grind the ugly inside, but that's easy. And I got to patch all of that. That's my next step. So keep following the time lapse. We'll capture it all. But once that's ground like that, when it's all done like that, you won't ever know it. It's going to be invisible. So that's what you just saw happen. So here we are after I welded up the two pieces. So the new front clips welded onto the bug, but I got to looking and I didn't like what I saw. There was some pimpling, rust pimpling, and I ended up cutting that out. So this morning I'm getting ready to make some new sheet metal to put back in there. I'd rather have it fixed now than sitting there rusting the rest of its life, which it would do. I think I'll paint that inside with some Pour 15 before I weld it back together, but just get that bottom patched and this side will be good. This is the aftermath of the grinding and cutting and blowing all the crap out of that heater channel. The heater channel really didn't have that much. That's just kind of stuff from this car sitting for who knows how many years. But I'll get this side welded up and we'll get finished with this one this morning, and I'll start making a pattern for that other quarter panel. The other side over there is going to be easier because they cut it big enough. They actually cut it to where it overlaps. This side here, I had that big 1/2-inch gap through most of it. So the other side should go quicker other than having to make that quarter panel. But we're on that now. I just pulled my hood out, which is kind of scary. This hood, it's the original 4-tab, they call it. You can see where the emblem attaches. It's got 4 tabs and it's flat. So this is an original, I guess. I don't know my hoods and things perfect, but it's an original early hood anyway, and I guess they're quite rare. This one's pretty junky. You can see they welded a bar inside of it. So now my problem is the hood fits like junk. So I've got to decide if my front apron or the front section is aligned right, which what I did to align it was I set it on here. See if I can, the lighting's terrible. Those front mounts are pretty much in the center of the holes. So I set the gas tank in it. I don't have measurements because I didn't cut this off. So I wish I had a measurement from here to here, but I don't. And I've looked online. I can't find anything. So I'm just putting it together kind of based on how things fit. That, it's never been off of the pan. So those 2 holes right there should be, in my opinion, in the center of those slots. Those 2 studs that actually, one of them's got a broken bolt in it. The other one is still a hole that can be, that could be threaded. But I'm not using that front beam anyway, or this pan for that matter. But I'm using it for alignment purposes. So I think it's pretty close. Everything there fits well. But being that this side is so jacked, it's hard to know exactly. This side, it looks really nice. I mean, that looks really good. You can't even tell that it's been worked on. But when I put the hood up there, there's about an inch gap down here. And to me, it looks like it's back. It looks like this thing's been pushed back. And I know it has because you can see the crease right here, the kink. And you can see a little bit of a kink in here. There's a little rust here where the paint had flaked off. So you can kind of tell this shouldn't be like this. This should be down. This piece here needs to go in. So what's happened is it's bumped the bumper at some point in its life, the car that front clip was on, and it didn't ruin the clip. It's really nice. It's just shoved it back. It's so common. Usually they're way worse than this. So whoever cut this clip off probably knew that it was damaged, but was the best one they could find. You can see down here, maybe, the paint is flaked off. You can see all of this right here. This is all signs of the damage. So what I'm going to do, and I'm not exactly sure yet, I'm either going to rig up a puller, I'm going to bolt to the bumper brackets inside, come out the bumper slots, and I may weld a tube across or a bar. And if I do that, I think I can put a porta-power. So if I weld say a tube out here, I can put a porta-power between the beam and this tube that I'm going to weld on and just push it forward. So I want to push this out. A quick little update. I just picked up the old front clip section that I have that came with the car, the original piece, and it occurred to me I do have somewhat of a measurement, so I'll show you what I've got here. And I think my new one is exactly right. I think it's just a matter of pulling that out. But here's what I did. So this is the original piece they saved because of the VIN plate and the stamping. And I still have, they cut it off, not me, right here. So I just measured from here to the front. On here, get my tape where I can handle it. I'm going to put the tape right there where the cut was, and I come forward 6 3/4. So I feel good about that. This one is 3 3/8-ish. That's 3.5. Let's check that again. It's just under 3.5. So this one, if anything, is maybe an eighth or 3/32 forward. So I've got that all pulled out. I've got it all hammered. that I can get to. When I put it in a rotisserie, I'll take this last little dent out, but it's staying where it should. Now the hood has a pretty good gap. I've got a lot of stuff to do on the hood, but when that's pushed down, that's hitting the gasket there. So I've got to bow the hood a little bit, but that's so much closer than it was yesterday. So we're going to go to the other side and make a paper pattern. Let me turn this light. This side's kind of the same way. For something that fit absolutely not at all yesterday, it's fitting pretty good now. This is where they welded a rod inside of this hood and they didn't have it right. So I'm going to cut that out right there and fabricate a new piece. But when take that out of the ugly part out of the picture, you can see that it fits pretty nice now. It's out to the body where it should be. So paper. Yeah, I'll check it out first. Let's see, how do I want to do it? I guess I'll go up to the top for now. Volkswagen goodies here. And remember, that's going to be a little bit different shaped and it's going to be long. That side over there, I've cut it off. You know that thing that got Nick for Christmas?
Mm-hmm. Need to go borrow it?
I need one. We bought Nick a Milwaukee nibbler, which I haven't had a nibbler in a long time. I've got a nibbler, but it's a giant nibbler. It's for cutting 1/8 inch, 3/16 plate. Okay, so there's my piece that I need. Now I need to cut that out. I'm gonna use my big nibbler. And I'll cut that to shape, then we'll cut it in a bandsaw. Okay, so you saw that I cut that pattern and run it through the English wheel. And what I did was the pattern's made to go all the way to the top and all the way back here. I shoved it up inside. I cut it off where it would shove up inside. Same deal here. And then I marked it where the fender's gonna go. And I took it over there to the wheel or the bead roller and tipped it, stuck it back in here, and that's what we have. I checked the angle on the other side, and this is pretty darn close to what it needs to be. So there's is it too dark in here?
No.
This is our steel the original steel. You can see how the thing fits right up tight to it. Once I weld that or cut it off, you can see that right down that crack is perfect. I mean, it's just not that hard to make replacement panels yourself. I just couldn't, and the good one of these is $1,000. And I don't want to spend $1,000 on sheet metal. Of course, it came with all that inner fender, but I didn't need the inner fenders. So I'd rather take a piece of old rusty sheet metal over there. It's actually new rusty sheet metal. Trying to get it back out. It's very tight, and I just kinkalated it. Okay, so let's go back over there and I'll roll that through a couple more times on this die just to flatten that out a little bit if I can. Come in on this side. I did it the other way the first time. Those are just two flat rollers. I'm just trying to roll that little crease that it made down. Before I cut it. It's nowhere near the problems that the thing had before. The car over there. Okay, that's good. I'm going to turn it back up, hit just a little bit. Right there. See that nice tipped flange? Nothing that, I don't think there's anything there that won't grind out. So what I have to do now is cut along the line. I guess I'll use the bandsaw here. It's looking more like that panel all the time. Got a lot of shape in it. Really quickly. Let me knock the burrs off of it and we'll try it over there. So I transferred the pattern over to the steel where the holes go, and they're only going to be kind of close, within I don't know, probably 1/8 of an inch. But the good news is the fender holes are always really big, kind of like these holes here. Then I took the old junk quarter panel and sawed these things off. There's 5 of them that weld on the backside. You can buy these new, but it took me 2 minutes to sand them off and cut them off and sand the backside. Just use a grinder. And now I'm putting a bolt in the hole, kind of centered, and I'm going to spot weld them on. And then we'll take this thing over to the car and spot weld it to the car. So let's get some of these just kind of, let me think what I'm on my settings here. So just a spot on each one. So now we have a genuine Volkswagen nut in the fender. Let's do it again. Little hot tamales stay there. Okay, let's go over there and install. You can kill it. That honestly just put such a big hole in there. I want to come down here. Get my knee pad up here. My bone knee hurt on this table. I'm going to come across the top the same as I just did that. So that's it. It's Monday at 7 o'clock in the evening. I got 3 days on this thing, and my dog wants to go for a ride already. I knew she was gonna come. She was wagging her tail, and that means I want in the picture. But that's okay, you can be in the picture. She's been under my feet for 3 days here. She knows we're going racing, and she won't let us out of her sight. But anyway, I think you guys get to see in the slow motion or the time lapse making this front quarter panel. And I've just got it tacked on. I wanted to get the fender bolted on, make sure everything was still good, and it is. I had to cut some spots loose and reshape it just a little bit, but the worst part The other side, the fender bolted on, pretty much just bolted on. This side, every hole was off a ½ inch or more. So some of them were close, but that could, I mean, not close, half a hole off or just a hole off. The others were like a ½ inch further than that. And the worst ones were the ones at the front where it had never, I didn't touch. That's factory stuff. If you bolted the fender up, it came 1.5 inches from the bottom of the car. So I had to re-drill all the holes on this side. Unfortunately, that's kind of what you get when you build a Volkswagen. You don't get the best quality stuff, but it is what it is. That's all you can get. The good news is that it's kind of fitting. It's kind of together. I've got to weld that front quarter panel on and grind it and shape, get all that done. But I've got the holes in the fender. I'm going to weld the old ones up, the ones that they put in, and just make mine the only hole so there's no mistakes and you don't see them when you look underneath. But the hood, look at that. You don't have to get close because it ain't perfect, but it's pretty decent for the piece of junk that it is. I've got a lot of work to do on it. The front is busted, the other side's busted, but for the most part it works pretty good. It's actually hinged, so it goes up and down. The sides come out about right. This side over here is the worst, where I've got to replace a piece of it. I'll have to cut it out and make a piece for it, just like I did that side over there. But it's an original 4-tab, whatever that means, doesn't mean much to me. Some of the later hoods had a raised spot up there where the VW emblem went. If you're going to put one on, what difference does it make? But the purists want the 4-tab hood for this year of a car. So I've got that hood. Everything on it except the fenders, and the piece that I made is OEM sheet metal. So that front apron, the whole front clip, the hood, the body, doors, it's just you got aftermarket fenders and after Taylor front quarter panel. So I'm gonna let it sit right here for a while. I gotta go back to work on customer cars. Tomorrow I'm gonna dig the Bondo Marrow out. If you guys remember that car, the 69 that looked really good when it came in here. It was black, semi-gloss black, with a lot of gloss black trim. Everything on it was gloss black, the pieces that could be taken off. It was a really nice looking car. I'm putting a 6-liter turbo LS in the thing. I've already put that in one of his cars and we took it out and we're putting it in this one now, but I'm gonna get back on that thing. I've replaced quarter panels and done a lot of work to it. And now it's ready to start blocking it and getting it ready for shiny black paint this time. So I'm gonna work on that and then back to work on the 55 to get it ready for Sick Week. We got some gears coming in and we got some new 18-inch wide back wheels today. Pretty cool, 16 tall, 18 wide. They're monsters. I think that's the widest wheel I've ever had. So this one's gonna sit, but hopefully this is a good video because it's been on and off and I've had to narrate a lot of it. But it is what it is. You guys get to see it the way it is, and it's just been 3 days of hard work to get the front end kind of put together, and I'm very happy with it. So thanks for watching. Don't forget, I've got those cab over shirts and still got my cross shirt, and Alex has her new shirts and Mika has a shirt. So if you want a shirt, go visit Alex's website. I'm not sure how to tell them how to do that.
It's AlexTaylorRacing.com, I believe.
AlexTaylorRacing.com.
I think.
I could put a link below, except I'm going to edit this video and I don't know where the link is, so whatever, you'll find it. You can go look Alex's page up. In fact, I think on my Instagram or Facebook there's a link too. So thanks for everything. Thanks for the shirts that you guys have bought. I've still got a bunch of them because we made a reorder. You should have every size that you need. So we'll see you soon. Thanks for watching.